Hello, you guys. Thank you guys so much for coming today. So I am going to, here we go. I'm going to go ahead and pin myself. I have quite a bit to go over today. So I was practicing this webinar for you guys today. I want to hit on all this information, but I also want to be respectful of everyone's time. So this video will be available. I am going to send this out afterwards. And so you will be able to have access to it. So I am going to go ahead and get started. I also have two computers on. That is just because I have been having computer issues. And so as a backup, I have my second computer as well. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm so glad you guys are coming in. Like I said, it is being recorded and I will be sending that out to you. So if you missed anything, it will be available. So I am going to hop right on and share my screen. So this is, let me go ahead and just set it. All right, you guys. So today we're talking about storage facilities. I absolutely love storage facilities. I love talking about them, and I definitely want to provide them here for you guys and give you a highlight if you are investing in them or if you aren't. They're pretty self-explanatory, so you may have heard some of this stuff before already. But I'm going to go ahead and get started. Like I said, with time, I really want to cover underwriting today and some of the tools and resources that I use. So I will be pushing through a little bit, but I will be sending this out for you guys to review later. So just a quick highlight about me, who am I? My name is Valerie Williams. I've been a full-time investor for 6 years. We own storage facilities, and we've had single-family portfolios that we've run and managed, fix and flip. And I have a YouTube channel that I discuss pretty much everything commercial real estate called Ramblings of Real Estate. And I have a company, Legacy Creation Live. And PowerPoint slides are a little bit new to me, so I apologize. Some of the tools and resources for the underwriting that I use, one of them comes from ROI Muse. It's an amazing software. If you invest in residential or commercial, I highly, highly, highly recommend. If you don't have a good underwriting system, I highly recommend his company. I will be also providing my affiliate link. He just provides a really awesome discount if you use it. You don't have to use it, but I still recommend his company. And if you're interested in more about storage facilities, in this day and age, it's really awesome to have like a coach or a mentor. And so Stacy Rosetti, I highly recommend her. She's amazing. And I also will be showing you her underwriting to kind of give you guys a little sneak preview about what you can expect, utilizing her. And then, as I said, this is my company. So I'm going to just jump right in. Like I said, I have a lot to cover and I really want to touch on underwriting, but storage facilities, as you may or may not have heard, they're really easy to operate. They take little to no employees. You could literally manage it yourself. It's obviously great to have a maintenance or boots on the ground individual if you have a storage facility that you are not near. But they're really low risk. So there's lots of asset classes that move up and down. They have a lot of volatility. There's a lot of overhead. These are pretty stable. I know I have low risk and stable, kind of both. So they're a strong cash flow, and they're stable and low risk for the tenant and vacancy aspect of them. So that kind of fits into both pieces. Basically, if you have a multifamily property and you have a tenant and they move out, that is a long process getting that unit rentable again. You have to go in and clean it out. They have like a 30-day notice to clean out, and then you have to do repairs, and then you need to relist it to then get another tenant in. Storage facilities are a lot quicker than that. So if you have a tenant that's ready to move out, they move all of their stuff out. You have your maintenance guy go in, double check everything, re-lube the wheels, check the door, and it's ready to go the next day. You can relist it. So there's little to no gap of having a unit down at any time. And so you can really turn those profits and not have so much economic vacancy that you would in like a single family or multifamily or something like that. Oh, I didn't realize my mouse did that. Sorry about that, you guys. So I throw in here rent per square foot is similar to rent per square foot in single family. So spare foot. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. That's a company that they offer lots of different services for storage owners, and they ran some numbers, and rent per square foot for a storage facility on average right now is 91 cents a square foot. I don't know how many of you guys are in, residential or multifamily, but it's around $1 a square foot for renting out single family and everything. So I just thought that was really interesting, so I threw that in there. Repairs are quick and very simple. So again, if you guys do any type of investing, repairs can get complicated really quick, especially when you have electrical, sheetrock, plumbing, different aesthetics. So storage facilities, they are metal buildings and metal doors. And so once you kind of fix one unit, you can repair your whole facility. So it's pretty awesome. Like if you have a maintenance guy that you need to get rid of and hire someone new, it's a pretty quick turnaround as well to be able to just kind of train a new guy, or they can kind of just figure it out on the job. So cons. I wanted to discuss really quickly about cons, because I know, especially in today's market, when you guys go to webinars, everyone's like, it's amazing. You can retire and make 6 figures and everything. Like every asset class definitely has a con. So I always like to bring that up, just because not every asset class is for everybody. And so I've heard quite a bit that storage facilities are not a necessity. So many people push for homes, single family, multifamily, anything like that, because everyone needs a place to live. And that is a strong argument. But I also urge you that storage facilities are not a new asset class. They've been around for a very long time. And unfortunately, nowadays, we have more stuff than we've ever had before. So it is true, it is not a necessity. But if you are someone who uses storage facilities, you will think that they are a necessity. It can get saturated, so definitely know your market. The good thing about storage facilities is you can be in a rural area, you can be in the city, and both can be wildly successful. So people need to store lots of random things. So they don't necessarily need to be by an employer to utilize a storage facility. But you still need to make sure you're looking at the market, because you can have too much of an asset class. Prices are getting high. I just threw that in there. If you guys are familiar with commercial at all, you will know that prices are actually based off of the performance of the asset. So prices are getting high, but that's just because cap rates are getting compressed, rents are going up, and so the actual performance of the property is increasing. So you definitely need to make sure that that's how you're buying your properties, and that your exit cap rate isn't wildly compressed or too high, so your numbers align. And if I am going a little bit fast, I kind of jumped in, you guys. But like I said, I have quite a bit of information to go through. I am going to provide this to you guys afterwards. I want to make sure that I'm helpful and I'm giving you guys what you want to learn. And so I will be providing that afterwards. But I decided to do a 30-minute webinar, and I practiced it, and I went way over. So I want to make sure that I kind of get through underwriting. And if there's anything that you guys find valuable, definitely let me know. I love doing webinars. I love talking to you guys. And I really want to make sure that I talk about what's helpful for you and your company, and not just what I think will be helpful for you and your company. So, again, I'm going to be talking really fast and jumping through a lot of stuff. So capture what you can, but I will be providing everything at the end. So, so again, I'm not really going to go into, how you analyze this piece of it, looking at the cap rates and the performance of the property. But yes, that is one of the reasons that prices are getting high. Another reason is because development cost has increased. So if you're in the real estate market, you know that prices have gone up because development cost has gone up, insurance has gone up because replacement cost has gone up. So development cost has actually affected quite a bit of the real estate industry right now. So market review. So when you're looking at a storage facility, like I said, you want to make sure that you aren't too saturated. One of the quickest ways to look at this is to look at, and it can get confusing, but I try to spell it out a little bit. So basically what you do is you don't look at like a whole town. You look at a specific radius of an area around the interested property. So if you have a property, let's say in Conroe, Texas, I'm in Conroe, Texas. I wouldn't necessarily look at all of Conroe, Texas, because the radius of it is 5 miles or more, and it's a decent sized town. So I would take the address of the storage facility and I would create a 1 to 3 mile radius around that facility. So again, I'm not going to actually go in today what tools you would use to find out this information, but I am more than happy to do another webinar on exactly this piece, because it's really fun and it's really good to know if you're interested in learning that and doing more storage facilities. So what you would do is when it's a more populated area, you want to stay between like 1 and 3 mile radius. If it's more rural, you could actually get out to 10 miles. So that's not ideal. I put 5 miles because that's kind of as wide as you want to get. So basically what you're doing is you are looking at all the storage facilities within that radius. And there's a way to figure out the square footage, like the rentable square foot of those storage facilities. And you divide it by the population that's in that same radius. So basically you're wanting to figure out how much rentable square feet of storage facility is available per person that lives within that area. And that number gives you just a very general idea whether or not you want to keep looking at the property or if it's a no-go. So there's obviously other things to consider. So my example right here was 100,000 square feet of rentable storage facility square foot, over 10,000 people within that radius. So it's 10 rentable square feet per person in that radius. So 10 is a little high, but it could still be a really awesome market. So this is why I say this is just a general rule of thumb. I put on here a national average is 5.5 to 6. That's because obviously national average, they're taking in all the major cities, they're taking in everything. So I personally would be very careful to get to a number smaller than 5. You'd have to be in a pretty big city because that's pretty saturated at that point. We usually look at properties between 8 and 10. That's kind of our comfort zone. And the property that I'm going to view today is actually closer to a 13, but I'm going to explain a little bit why. That doesn't matter because, like I said, this is your initial review. And then there's other things in the market that you want to look at to decide if, that specific storage facility is of interest or that marketplace is an interest for you guys. So take into consideration both pieces of that. But this is a great tool. If you're in storage facility, you've probably heard this before because this is just kind of like the initial tool to hop in and get to know a market really quick. So with that, I'm going to hop over. So this is the property that I'm going to walk you guys through a little bit today. And I'm going to show you guys 2 different underwriting tools that I use. If you came in late, like I said, I have 2 resources that are amazing for helping with underwriting. And so I'm going to go over both of them just because one is actually more, Stacy Rosetti is more of a coach. And so her underwriting comes with her mentoring and her coaching. And then the other one is actually a software tool that you can use in any commercial deal that you want. So if you're more interested in retail or leasing or multifamily or even flipping houses, that software helps with all of that. So it's a pretty awesome tool. So really quick, this particular property, just to kind of give you guys a background before I jump into the numbers of the property. So Hubbard, Texas, if you haven't heard of it, don't feel bad. No one has. It's a really, really, really small town. So as you can see, the population is 1,600. And as I spoke of, when we did the math, rentable square foot is 13. So again, a little bit higher. But like I said, I'll explain it again in a minute. So this particular property has 87 units. As you can see, it's a metal building. It has metal roll-up doors. I prefer them to have concrete foundations. Some people don't, but I prefer that. It has 10 containers. So this one's a little bit different. It's 97% occupied and 7% economic vacancy. If you guys aren't familiar with commercial property at all, that may or may not make sense, but basically economic vacancy is telling you who's paying. So 97% of the facility is actually rented, but 7% is not actually paying. So that's why those numbers are slightly different. So there's a few set for auction. And when you set them for auction, a lot of times your tenant come in and they either pay and they move or they pay and they stay. So either which way, so that's why it's actually a higher occupancy. So as I said, there's growth all around this area. So that's why we're okay with this a little bit higher of a number. So just north of Hubbard is Waxahachie. If anyone's familiar with that, Waxahachie, Texas, they've seen a growth of like 40% in the last decade. Just slightly south and west of Hubbard is Waco. And Waco, if you haven't heard of Waco, it's also a massively growing little town. So it's definitely in a growth path. It's also less than 10 miles from a lake. So I again, this is beneficial because there's lots of people who come from out of town and they have a boat or a trailer or some toys or something that they want specifically for the lake. And so they do like storage facilities closer to the lake. So then they can just drive down, pick up their stuff and go to the lake. So this is a great location. This property is actually fully fenced in and has 1 acre of undeveloped land. So there's a ton of opportunity at this particular property. So we're really excited about it. So I'm going to go ahead and jump on in to the underwriting piece of it. So I'm going to end this. And my screen usually makes me unshare and then share again. So let me, hi, Malu. Sorry if I say that wrong. I definitely am not trying to, but thank you. Okay, thank you. Like I said, I apologize for talking really fast. I just realized how much information I wanted to cover today. And I'd love to break things down a little bit more, in different webinars, but I wanted to make sure I get everything in front of you guys. So this is Stacy Rosetti's underwriting that it's incredibly helpful specifically for storage facilities. And I will be sending out her information as well with this video afterwards for you guys' review. She's absolutely amazing. I don't teach storage facilities. Like I said, I just like doing this and sharing. And, if anyone's interested, I like to provide that information. So, so this is just kind of your initial dashboard. So basically you put in your purchase price and it says cost of purchase, that basically adding in my rehab. So our properties are pretty rural. We like to come in and to get properties that are not on Google My Business. And if anyone wants to learn why, I have another video on YouTube about why you should be on Google Business. In addition to security, that's our biggest piece. So when we look at properties, if they're not fenced in, that's the first thing we do. If they don't have a security system, that's the first thing we do. If they don't have an automatic gate, that's the first thing we do, because we use ESS, Storable, the software program. And so we automate everything. And that's another reason I didn't actually put that in. Well, ease of operations for storage facilities. So that's another reason I love them, because you can automate everything. So, so right here, this is just kind of quick loan information. So we're going to get a loan on this property at 5%. Commercial properties usually are a 20-year amortized. Residential is usually 30. So just kind of pointing out that difference. So that's why it says 240 months. Market cap rate, I just kind of put that in. Every area is different. It doesn't wildly affect this situation particularly. So yearly receipts, that's just your gross rents from all your tenants. And then number of units, total square foot. So that's what you look at a lot in your storage facilities in your numbers, is you take, like if you have a 10 by 10 unit, then that unit's obviously 100 square feet. So you would just take all of your units, you add them all together, and you have your total square foot. So This is your average rent per square foot. So these are just rough numbers of giving you a generalized idea. So they're saying you're about $36, per square foot because of the yearly receipts and the size. So I have it at 8% vacancy. As I discussed earlier, that's actually not accurate. As you'll see going forward in my underwriting, I like to stay very conservative. I like to under promise and over deliver. So I like to be extra surprised when rents are coming in and paying back our investors. So this is incorrect, but I like it better. You never know what's going to happen before you get to close. So these are all of our maintenance costs. So you'd go through and just make sure that this aligns with how you're operating your company and if it, makes sense. As I said, this is kind of your initial rehab. So this is where you put your initial cost. This is your yearly overhead for operating expenses. And you put this in here because it helps calculate through all the other tabs, which it will go over very quickly. But again, this is actually Stacy's underwriting. I just wanted to give it highlight for you guys to kind of see. So as you can see, there's current, potential, and after updates. Basically, that's saying this is what we're purchasing it at. This is its current performance. Potential performance, I basically put in the system of what my rents are going to be once we take over. So what are we going to push them to? And then after updates, what can we push our rents to once we've added the security system, put it on Google, added our website, and kind of fix up the property a little bit. So these are our numbers that we have. What I love about this is it's actually showing you as you progress what your cap rate is going to be. So again, I did talk about purchase price. That is kind of like a sore topic for some investors right now because prices are getting really high. But as I said, commercial properties are based off of the performance. And so you have tons of opportunity to, as you can see, we're buying it. This is 11% cap rate. It's actually a little bit closer to an 8, but we're buying it at about an 8% cap rate. And then as we are creating value and increasing rents, we are going to be at a 13% cap rate, which is you just don't see that in the market nowadays. So we're okay to buy at a lower cap rate because we know how we can operate that property and how we can actually make it perform. So I just wanted to point that out because, if you see someone trying to sell something like a 3 cap or something like that, obviously if they're 100% occupied and their rents are at market rate and they're trying to sell at a 3% cap rate, there's not a whole lot you can do to that property. But we look at mismanaged properties or properties that aren't on Google, properties this just, no one knows about, they don't have a website. And so then we can take them over and we know that we have wiggle room on that property. So I'm going to quickly just kind of go over some of these tabs. I don't want to delve too deeply. I also want to show you the other software because I think they're both really valuable in underwriting. Real quick, so this is just your overview of a loan calculator. It's actually calculating in my improvements. For this particular property, we are not adding our improvements into the loan. So these numbers aren't going to be 100% accurate, but they provide a really awesome guide when investors ask you certain questions or you need to look at your underwriting, etc. So $2,100 won't be our monthly payment, but we could easily take this out and get a better idea. I've already spoken to our lender, so I know where we're at. But that's just that overview. Valuation, it basically gives the breakdown. So this is your current. So this is all the information of where that's coming from. And so it's kind of letting you know, here's your operating every month. Every year, everything is in year. Sorry about that. So these are your gross potential rents. So when I take over a property, what I like to do is usually they're mismanaged. And so rents are all over the place. This particular property, their 5x10s are going from like $25 to $50. Like it's just all over the board, which you just don't want to see when you're running a property. Everyone should be paying the same rent. So what I like to do is instead of going in and pushing my rents to market, which some investors do, I actually go in and I push my rents to the highest current tenant. So that's how I do my underwriting. So I'm going in and I am just taking all my tenants and I'm pushing them to the highest current tenant because I know that the market can stand that. That's like a guarantee return. And so as you can see, already just by doing that, I'm at almost 14,000 for the year. I haven't done anything to the property. I haven't changed anything. All I am is just pushing rents to the highest tenant. And then what I do is I actually increased vacancy as well. Sometimes you get a little bit of pushback when people have to raise their rents, and that's completely fine because if you are charging people more rent and it pushes out the individuals that don't want to pay it, you could actually stabilize your property with a higher vacancy than offering less rent and having it fully occupied. So I know everyone has kind of their different preferences. I don't like to be too aggressive with my rents, but I definitely like to incrementally get them closer to market value. And I would rather have a higher vacancy and a higher rent than a lower vacancy with a really low rent. One, you're getting a better tenant base. Individuals who are willing to pay a little bit more usually are more capable of utilizing your software system. They're using a credit card. They're happy to put it on auto pay. They're less maintenance. So there's different pieces to go into it, usually on the personal scale, not necessarily just the financial. So again, I want to kind of point that out because some people are like, oh, you go in and, just gouge everyone, but it really is kind of shifting out a type of tenant and making the property easier to manage and a lot cleaner and safer for your tenants who are already there. So, and again, this number right here for my valuation potential is just adding an extra $5 to my 5x10s. So what all I've done so far is I've pushed everyone up to the highest current tenant, and then I added an extra $5 to my 5x10s. So that's all this is. And then valuation after updates, I added another $5 to my 10x10s. So in essence, my only rent bumps I've actually done is $5. And I've just actually streamlined all my units per price. So basically now all my tenants are just streamlined with their rent. And then I increased to my smaller units $5. So just by doing that, like you've heard, some people raise their rents like 12% every year. Some people raise their rents every quarter. There's lots of different ways to do it. I like to take the slow pace because after doing this, after 12 months, we'll push rent again. But as you can see, we're already at 23,000 for the year for this particular property. And basically, it's fully automated. And this is pure profit. So I just wanted to also point that out. This is pure profit. So our NOI is actually 50,000. So if we were to resell it, our NOI is 50,000. So this is with our admin staff, our maintenance staff, our utilities tax, and this is with everything and your mortgage. So this is pure profit at the end. So I mean, to me, that's a really good day. You just have one property that's, $23,000, get a couple of properties. It's not so bad. So, also in here, kind of what I talked about, this is where some of the numbers are coming from, the unit mix, the current, the potential, and the after. So this is where you can kind of play around with some of your rent bumps and everything, and it'll change your numbers throughout the different tabs to match up. So this after updates, potential, and current are going to match right on the front page, your current, potential, and after. So then you're going to be able to see your average square foot, your yearly receipts, and your actual cap rate of performance that you're at, by doing that. And comps, you always want to look at your comps. And as you can see, with our rent bumps, I actually bumped it to the lowest that's currently on the market. So at takeover, we're really just pushing this property to the lowest performing storage facilities in the market today. So there's tons of room for improvement on this particular property. But like I said, I definitely like to go in. I like to get a feel of my tenants because I'm there for my tenants. I like to provide tons of security and to make sure I get all my CapEx done before I really get aggressive with rents and reevaluate the marketplace. That's again, like I said, that's my personal preference. We've had a positive feedback so far with our direction that we operate. And I prefer to deal with understanding happy tenants because of good communication and good CapEx than a lot of angry ones. So again, that's just kind of like how I prefer it. So and so as you can see, my rents align with the lowest comps in the area. So that's what I like to see. All right, I'm going to hop over really quick. I am definitely running out of time. Sorry, really quick. I don't have too much time, but I'd love to answer your question, Rick. I'm just going to check it out really quick. So yeah, the current vacancy, and don't worry about it, Rick. I definitely appreciate you popping in. So I am going to have this video. I'm going to go ahead and send it out as well, but because that was on the PowerPoint presentation. The current occupancy is actually 97% on this property, and the economic vacancy is 7%. So my vacancy that I put in my underwriting is high. And I did 10% vacancy because I will be pushing some people's rents. Some people's rents are going to stay the same because they're already paying, they're already the top paying tenants. But some I will be pushing. And so sometimes when you first take over a property and you're stabilizing it, you do get some pushback, and you're basically kind of weeding out those really old tenants or those cash paying tenants or something like that. So I always just underwrite that I'm going to get a bigger hit on my vacancy. It might not happen because once your website's up, you usually start having new tenants calling you in, and you're wanting those tenants that aren't willing to pay, aren't willing to get on auto pay. You're wanting them to move out. So that's just why I do 10%. Like I said, I'm pretty conservative. Our down payment for our loan is 75% loan to value. So our down payment is 25%, 25% down. And then our CapEx, our initial rehab into the property, which is basically the security system, because that's our first thing that we do, and the automatic gate is not included in the loan. So if you've worked with lenders, there's lots of different ways that you can do that. Our rehabs are usually so small that I don't add them into our loan because we can usually recapture our money year one, year two with that rehab and with the push of tenants. And so I don't like to put that in my loan because I like to keep my overhead low. And if by year three, I'm seeing the return of my CapEx, then I call that a win, and I like to keep my loan low. So that's why usually we pay that out of pocket. So hopefully that helped. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing that screen, and I'm going to pop into this other software program. So for some reason, my computer makes me log out and log back in. So ROI Muse, I did touch on it a little bit. So the owner of this company is absolutely amazing. So I will just sing his praises. But he created a software that still blows my mind. I know so many mentors and coaches, they've created underwriting tools, which is awesome, but they're really hard to use on any other asset class. So if you're doing single family and you're interested in doing like a 5-plex multifamily and you're interested in storage facilities, how do you underwrite it? That's 3 different types of real estate investing, and nothing works seamlessly across everything until Joseph came up with ROI Muse. So as you can see, this is the main page, and he has lots of different analysis that you can run. I am just going to focus on the commercial deal, and commercial deal can be anything. It can be multifamily, it can be retail, it can be hotel. We're doing the storage facility right now. So again, I'm not going to actually go through all the numbers specifically again because they are the same. I'm just going to kind of go really quick through the software itself. And then, like I said, I am going to provide this in an email, and I would love, I mean, if there's anything you guys want more information on, like I said, I'm going fast. I would love to have a webinar specific to something that you feel would be really helpful for you and your company. So this is his main page. So as you can see, there's lots of things that you can upload to your particular property. Sometimes when you're working with brokers and you're working with a commercial deal, you get lots of information. And so this way you can kind of compile it all in one place. You can add an image. I always forget to, but so basically this is just the deal. So this is the information about your particular property. So how much it is, how it's performing, number of units, land, etc. This is your acquisition assumptions. So again, this is your loan information. So you're putting in your purchase price. This loan amount was 80%. That's what it originally was going to be. We actually just recently got it down to 75%. So I hadn't come in and updated that. But our interest rate is 5%, 20 years amortized. We always try to push to get interest only for the first year, just because you're stabilizing your property and it really helps keep your overhead low. So we have all commercial deals aren't a fixed rate for 20 years. Just so you know, I have some investors come in and they're like, oh my gosh, it's not fixed. I can't have it adjustable. I've never seen a non-adjustable commercial loan. So our terms is 5 years. So in 5 years, it will adjust to the current rate at that time, or we have the opportunity to refinance. So I always look at making sure I don't have like a prepayment penalty, or it's a creative one, or what my refinance options are, whether it's with the same bank or another bank, because they do differ. So sometimes they say you can refinance, but it's just with them. To see if there's a penalty against that. So loan cost, all your loans cost money. So loan cost, origination fee, whatever that may be. So your initial investment kind of breaks it down. And so it's saying, 72,000, but again, that's because it's at 80%. And the loan cost is not going to be added into your loan. So that's an additional closing cost that will be a part of. Your disposition, I love this. It's actually letting you kind of decide, what do I want to do with this property? So your hold period, right here, we just put 9 years. We like to hold our properties longer than that, but just to kind of get an idea of what it will look like if we actually sell it in 9 years. So what is that cap rate? What do we think it's going to be in 9 years? It's probably going to be a little bit lower than that, but honestly, who knows? The sales cost, on average, what's your sales cost? So this is kind of breaking down what your sales proceeds, what it's going to be worth and everything when you go to sell your property. So that's really good to see because like I said, if you're buying at a compressed cap rate today, or a high, maybe a really high cap rate, and it is compressing. I know 2 years ago in multifamily, your exit cap rate had to be a lot lower to make sure that your numbers made sense for your investors. So again, I don't want to get too deep into that, but I really want to point out decision criteria. So this is such an awesome box that ROI Muse came up with. So basically, if you have an investor that is like, I won't invest in anything under like a 7% cap. So you can put in your criteria right here. And if the result of your underwriting doesn't line up with your criteria, it's going to say fail. And so that you could be like, oh shoot, like this deal just doesn't work. I can't, it won't work. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys this, but I'm not going to save it because I don't want to mess up my underwriting. But as you can see, cash on cash year one, it shows that I'm failing. Now, most of you get that, but just to point that out, a lot of times that's just because that's when you're getting a loan and that's when you're doing your CapEx. So you're pretty much always going to be a fail unless you get a really good deal on the property. So what you do is you actually click this calculate button. And as you can see, it analyzed 15 different scenarios of what it would take to actually purchase this property to not have a negative cash on cash year one. So what it did is it readjusted my underwriting. And now it's telling me that if you actually were able to buy this property at 282, you'd be cash flowing day one, even with your rehab. So that is super awesome. So anyways, I just think this is a really, really, really powerful tool that I just don't see in underwriting. And so I really wanted to point that out because like your DSCR, if you're going for a commercial loan, it has to be 1.25 or higher. They won't, I don't want to say they won't loan on it, but you'll have some struggles loaning on it and you might have to put up more capital to make them feel better. Your yield, your IRR, a lot of investors prefer to look at this number. And obviously, if I got it at 282, this would be amazing because 35 is amazing. But usually like 15 or 20 is a really strong deal. I've seen even lower than that. So it just depends on your investor. So like I said, this decision criteria is so valuable because if you're needing to hit a certain type of investment return for your investors on a deal, you can actually provide them that by this. And if it's not meeting it, you can hit calculate and you can figure out what is going wrong in the underwriting of why it's not hitting that. So again, I've never seen an underwriting tool that has that. So spend a little extra time on that. But on this piece of it, it has everything that you would need. So this is basically your Excel sheet for your 9 years of underwriting. And you're just putting in your operations. So you're just putting in, your rent income and your expenses, everything. And it kind of breaks down your CapEx, your reserves. Always have reserves on your properties, you guys. And it does all the math for you. And you can either do it in dollars or percentage. So you can do it in either one. I just realized you guys can see this, right? No one said anything. So, okay. Sometimes, like I said, when I share and I stop and I share again, I've had issues. So I just want to make sure. But anyways, so you can break it all down and then you can adjust it. If you're like, okay, year 2, we're actually going to we're going to do some development. So we actually see that we might hit a higher vacancy. So you can say that and then you just drop and it changes all of them. So you just change this back to it. So it's going to tell you how you're performing each year. So you can actually plan out CapEx or plan out additional development or something like that. And you can actually see that whole overview. In addition, it has all these little tabs I'm not going to go into, but it has your rental income, loss, other income, etc. And it's basically another Excel sheet where you can itemize everything and it all talks to each other and comes together. So, like I said, I love this underwriting and I've used it for single family. I've used it. I was a licensed agent, so I used it for my clients. I've used it for multifamily and now I'm using it for storage facility and it's on point in everything. So, like I said, I'm going to send out his information. I do have an affiliate link, but it does provide you guys a discount. So that's why I share it with you. You don't have to use it. I just provide it. But like I said, I really like to just kind of show you guys the tools that I use so you guys can have more success. So I did go over, sorry about that. I really wanted to be 30 minutes. That's why I talked really fast. But I will be emailing everybody. If there's any last minute questions, I'm more than happy to see if I can answer anything. Otherwise, I am so excited you guys joined me today. I love talking about real estate. I love providing anything that I've learned for you guys. And like I said, thank you, Malu. Like I said, I just like to share and provide and educate, and I share what I feel would be helpful, but I love feedback. So if there's something you guys are struggling with or anything that you really want a deeper understanding about, I'd love to do a webinar on specifically that. So share me your feedback, connect with me. And other than that, you guys have an amazing day. And I am going to work on sending this out to you guys hopefully by today. All right. I don't see any questions coming in. So again, I really appreciate your guys' time. I know it's valuable. So I hope to connect with you again soon. And if anyone's interested in this Hubbard property, we are still looking for a financial investor. And it closes soon. So have an awesome day, you guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Valerie. Have a great day.
Bye, guys.
Bye.